Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley Caronia. Thank you for joining me tonight. You might be watching on X, you might be watching on Facebook, but this is your reminder to come on over and watch on rumble.com/Hayley. That'll bring you to the Bongino Report channel where you should be already subscribed. But if you're not, come on over and subscribe. That is where you can watch the show in full and you don't want to miss a second of it. So thank you for joining me. Of course, you can listen later on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. But here's what we have on deck for tonight. President Trump has awarded Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor, and it is well-deserved. So we're going to get into that. Also, CNN reporter Christiane Amanpour apologizes after making insensitive comments about the Israeli hostages having better treatment than people in Gaza. Also, all of the Democrats came out with statements on the ceasefire. Some of them thanked Trump, most didn't. Also, Alec Baldwin crashes his wife's Range Rover in East Hampton. He told his side of the story. Dash cam footage tells another side of the story. So we're going to watch it and we're going to go through it together. And we're going to get into the scrolling time that I had planned for you yesterday. We didn't get to. So all of that coming up on Nightly Scroll. Famously awarded Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom today, which would have been his 32nd birthday, which is just so tragic to think that he's just a few months older than I am. And the fact that he is gone so young and so soon and leaves his family behind. I know we all know this, but it's just so tragic to be reminded of just how young he was and how soon he was taken from us. And just to think of all of the things that he has done in his life and the impact that a 31-year-old had on this world is incredible. I mean, it is nothing short of a miracle what he was able to do with Turning Point USA, the movement that he started, and the movement that is going to continue thanks to everything that he put forth in his life. It's just really wonderful. And Erica Kirk, of course, his widow, attended the ceremony at the White House alongside national leaders, supporters, and received the award on Charlie's behalf. And President Trump spoke, obviously, at that ceremony. Here's what he had to say.
1 month after Charlie's death, we still feel the terrible shock and the pain of his loss, like just about nobody I can think of. Charlie Kirk was one of a kind. He was unstoppable, and he really was. Boy, when he had an idea in his head, he would call me, "Sir, please, you haven't done it yet." I said, "Charlie, relax. Just relax." He didn't relax. He'd call me the next day again. It got it done. But he was like indomitable and always will be. He's really irreplaceable. Nobody going to replace him. But they're going to do great. But you can't replace that kind of person and that kind of talent, frankly. The word talent is an important word, but that kind of talent. So we hold his memory in our hearts forever. Every single day of this administration, we will continue to carry out the mission for which he lived, and he really did. He lived for this country. He lived for his wife and his family, but he lived for this country too. In Charlie's honor, we will continue like we have been to fight, and to win. We're going to win so much.
Well, Charlie would have wanted that. So happy heavenly birthday to Charlie Kirk. 32 years old today, and his legacy certainly lives on. I think he'd be very stoked about the All-American halftime show that Turning Point USA is putting on and all of these events that are still taking place on college campuses. What he started is not going to be finished now that he is gone. It is just getting started. So I think everyone at Turning Point is making Charlie and Erica very proud. I also want to talk about the typhoon that hit Alaska, mostly because I was scrolling on TikTok last night and a lot of Alaska residents were coming up on my For You page and they were saying, no one's talking about this. No one in the mainstream media is talking about this. People are displaced, and it's so horrible. And I thought, okay, well, fine. I'm in the new media. I'll talk about it. And it is tragic. One person has been found dead. 2 are missing still. In western Alaska, a typhoon Hayley, brought hurricane force winds. A typhoon is a hurricane, but in that part of the region, that's what it's called. And there was storm surges, floodwaters, and people's homes were completely swept away. And Alaska state troopers said that at least 51 people and 2 dogs were rescued in Kipnuk. And I'm going to botch this, but we literally looked up the pronunciation minutes before the show started. And of course, I'm going to ruin it. Quigilingok. Hopefully that suffices. But these are the two towns that have been completely ravaged by the storm. And obviously they saw this storm surge and now 1,000 people have been displaced in these towns, which is just horrible. You know, we talked about, and the media covered so much, the floodwaters in Texas and the floodwaters in eastern Tennessee and western North Carolina that happened, you know, and it just, I feel like this storm is not getting the same coverage that the other ones have, and they should. I mean, this is horrific, and you know, certainly a loss of a life is horrible, right? In Texas and in you know, in the South, there was more deaths, more destruction, longer to pick up the pieces, right? So maybe that has something to do with the fact that there was more media coverage, but certainly, you know, we have to cover this when it hits any part of the country. And I just feel for, you know, our fellow Americans there. It's just so tragic. So our prayers are with the fellow Americans who are struggling, and also with the first responders who are carrying out those rescue missions and, you know, picking up the pieces, like I said. Also, an update from the Middle East. Of course, President of the United States yesterday signed a historic peace deal alongside Middle East leaders, announcing a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, also announcing the return of hostages on both sides. But this ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is fragile. The IDF said earlier today that troops opened fire on Palestinians and they killed 5 Palestinians after they say that these Palestinians violated terms of the ceasefire agreement. So the IDF said that several suspects were crossing this yellow line. They approached IDF troops in northern Gaza, and they said that this violates the agreement. The 5 people approached, and the IDF apparently tried to tell these people to put distance between them, to not come closer. These suspects refused to comply, and IDF soldiers opened fire on them and killed them. But, you know, while President Trump, and not to mention, so the IDF says that a Palestinian civil defense spokesperson has denied that claim, saying that the 5 people that were killed were within the safe zone yellow area. So again, while President Trump and his team did an absolutely wonderful thing yesterday, this conflict has been going on for decades, right? These ceasefires have been broken before. So, you know, when President Trump signed it yesterday, he said, I hope this holds. I hope this holds. And I hope that we can usher in this golden era, this golden age in the Middle East of peace. And we do. We have to hope that that happens. But both sides need to come to that agreement and agree to that and not kill the other side, right? So this is ongoing, and we will certainly be covering it. But CNN, in their coverage, has completely stepped in it. And they're known to do this when there's breaking news situations, when it's tragic. You know, we saw in 2020, they cover these fiery but, quote, mostly peaceful protests where people are launching Molotov cocktails at police vehicles. They are launching Molotov cocktails at federal buildings. They are burning minority-owned businesses to the ground in cities across the country, in Minneapolis, in Seattle, in Portland, in New York, in Baltimore. I mean, we saw this all over, right? And of course, when CNN reports on it and there's flames behind the reporter, they say, you know, it's mostly peaceful. Then, of course, you remember when the gunman went into the NFL headquarters in New York City, Aaron Burnett on CNN said it was a possibly white gunman, which I guess is true, right? He could have it was possible that he could have been white, but he wasn't. And when you're reporting on the news, you have to report what you know, and it's not your job to speculate, unless, of course, you're an opinion host like I am, but these people are not opinion hosts. So, you know, you're reporting on a breaking news situation. It's just best to lay out the facts that you know in real time and not to kind of stray from the facts, because as we know, in a breaking news situation, a lot of things change. As everyone in the chat knows, it's best to hold and just wait to let all the facts come in before you speculate and before you add in your 2 cents. But CNN's Christiane Amanpour, she did not do that. She did not hold, as you're supposed to do, and she kind of injected her personal bias. Watch this. This is her, actually,
now,
I'm sorry.
Earlier
this
live
is her
on air, I spoke about what a day of real joy this is for Israeli families whose loved ones are finally being returned from 2 years of horrific Hamas captivity, and for civilians in Gaza who finally had a reprieve from 2 years of brutal and deadly war. I noted that for the hostages who are finally home, it'll take a long time for them to recover mentally and physically. But I regret also saying that they might have been treated better than many Gazans because Hamas used these hostages as pawns and bargaining chips. But that was insensitive and it was wrong. From speaking to many former hostages and their families, like everyone, I've been horrified at what Hamas has subjected them to over 2 long years. They've told me, as you've just heard, their stories of barely being able to breathe in the tunnels, not being allowed to cry, being starved and made to dig their own graves. And of course, today, some of the hostages are coming back in body bags.
I mean, how insensitive do you have to be to say that the Israeli hostages were being treated well, or being, not well, but being treated better than Palestinians in Gaza? What? And then explaining how she spoke to the families of the hostages. They told her stories of how badly they were being treated, that they couldn't breathe, that they were being forced to dig their own graves. And then she goes on air and she says, oh, well, it wasn't, so bad. It was worse for other people. When to point out in her own apology that she recognizes that hostages were killed. So how is the death of one group of people worse than another, right? Like, death is death. How can you legitimately argue that as a reporter when you're supposed to be just laying out the facts on the ground? You're not supposed to inject your personal bias. Israeli hostages were starved and killed. Palestinians in Gaza were also starved and killed. Innocent souls have been tortured and killed in this conflict. That is horrible across the board. I don't care who it happens to. That is horrible. You should be able to call that out. And honestly, if you're a reporter, you shouldn't even have to say that. It goes without saying that when innocent souls are murdered in a war zone, that is horrible. It doesn't matter what side you are on. So then, of course, all of these prominent Democrats got their marching orders from I don't know who. Maybe their communication staffers. I don't know. We've seen this before. We see it on the right, but I feel like we see it more so on the left when it's like this avalanche of statements that come out after something happens. The last time I remember this vividly was during COVID, when anytime Obama got COVID, Kamala Harris got COVID, Biden got COVID, like insert Democrat name here, anytime they got COVID, cue the tweet. And the tweet would say, I did contract COVID-19, but I'm so glad that I got my vaccine, and it would have been way worse if I didn't. And someone told them to say this, right? This is like the marching orders that they've gotten. This is the narrative that the Democrat Party is pushing. And we're seeing this with the ceasefire as well. So they put out these official statements on the ceasefire, on the hostage release that was certainly carried out and completed by President Trump. Here is former President Biden's statement. He says, I'm deeply grateful and relieved, and then he goes on to say, the road to this deal was not easy. My administration worked relentlessly to bring hostages home, which is true, get relief to Palestinian civilians, and end the war. I commend President Trump and his team for their work to get a renewed ceasefire deal over the finish line. So he's saying, I did something. President Trump got this over the finish line. So I respect that President Biden could acknowledge that, yes, his administration, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, hostages came home, more hostages came home during their administration. However, President Trump got the deal across the finish line. Not only that, world leaders are surrounding President Trump, commending him for his negotiating skills and nominating him for a Nobel Peace Prize, by the way, as we saw with the Pakistani prime minister. So here is Kamala Harris's statement. She did not mention President Trump. I'm thankful, deeply encouraged that the ceasefire has been brought, long awaited. 20 Israeli hostages finally returned with their loved ones. There's still so much work to do. She actually did. She said, I commend the leaders and partners whose efforts made this agreement possible, including the president and his team. So she actually did. I apologize. So again, it's nice to see this. Elizabeth Warren, though, this is her statement. I just think it's so interesting that they're all putting out, at least Elizabeth Warren's wasn't on, the letterhead. It wasn't like the graphic that was made. She just put out a tweet. But saying, I'm thinking of these people for 2 excruciating years. I've called for the return of the hostages brutally kidnapped on October 7th and held in Gaza. Today is a good day. Surviving Israeli hostages are finally home, reuniting with loved ones. I'm thinking of them and their families on this joyous day and praying for their full recovery. I'm grieving. She went on to say, today must be an important step toward lasting peace in the region, peace for both Israelis and Palestinians. We must end the war in Gaza, surge humanitarian aid, and negotiate a 2-state solution now. So she did not mention the current administration that got it past the finish line. And this was very funny because Vice President J.D. Vance responded on his personal account. I love when Vice President Vance tweets and he trolls everyone and he gets in on the memes, and I just absolutely love it. But he responded to that post saying, the president told me he did this on Indigenous Peoples Day in honor of you. Pocahontas, we did this for you. It was very nice of him. Very nice of the president to think of Pocahontas on this day, on Indigenous Peoples Day. Pocahontas has been fighting for this for very long. She's been urging this to get done for 2 years. Not that Senator Warren really has anything to do with anything, but I just thought that was hilarious. But Bill Clinton also acknowledged President Trump. He said, I'm grateful that the ceasefire has taken hold, that the last 20 living hostages have been freed, and that desperately needed aid has begun to flow into Gaza. President Trump and his administration, Qatar, and other regional actors deserve great credit for keeping everyone engaged until the agreement was reached. So this is, I feel like, the nicest. They deserve great credit for this. So I was impressed with Bill Clinton's response as well. And guess who? Jimmy Kimmel also gave President Trump his flowers. Listen to this.
What a day for Donald Trump. You know what? He finally did something positive today, and I want to give him credit for it because I know he's not the type to take credit for himself. Trump was in Israel and Egypt today to celebrate a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. All 20 Israeli hostages are home after 738 days. Almost 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees have been released. And while we're only in the first phase of what will undoubtedly be a long and tricky process, the fact is the bombing has stopped, the hostages have been released, and Trump deserves some of the praise for that. And so I know it sounds crazy to say, but good work on that one, President Trump. Now maybe you can not invade Portland. Just an idea.
I mean, we couldn't expect him to not jab him a little bit, but I think Jimmy Kimmel was a little afraid after his suspension. I think he is coming around. He is not going to jab President Trump too much. He certainly couldn't say that Trump had nothing to do with it because that would be false. So he had to come out and say the truth.
Well, at least he got he can say something nice. So that lets him say a lot of mean things for like the next month because he got one nice thing in there.
Right, exactly.
So,
but
thanks,
I think he is more conscious of telling the truth on his show, which he should. He should have been more conscious of that anyway. But certainly since his suspension, he's like, okay, I'll throw President Trump a bone. He did it. He got the ceasefire done. I'll throw him a bone. I'll be nice. I'll say that he did it because, of course, you have to. You have to admit that he did it. He did. So I thought that was funny. But Newsom, on the other hand, is doubling down on his just tirade against President Trump. Here is a video. He is actually saying that President Trump doesn't deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. He is very upset with President Trump and claims that he's waging war on just about everyone in the United States. Listen to this.
It is about the United States of America. He doesn't believe in that. He believes in the red states. He's going after. He's a war. He's a wartime president. He's the head of a war party. War on women. War on voting rights. War on Hispanics. A war on this state. War on institutions. War on history. I mean, this is serious. This guy's trying to get a Nobel Peace Prize. That's what he's going to try to say tomorrow in Alaska, that he's the big guy trying to find peace, really? When he's bringing war to the American people? He put military in the streets, not of Baghdad. He didn't send the military in his first administration anywhere in the world. He sent the United States Marines into the United States of America in one of the bluest cities in this country, in Los Angeles, one of the great cities, American cities. That's what Donald Trump did. He is a wartime president.
Someone in the chat said, new scum. He probably thinks he deserves this. War on idiots like you. F new scum. What an asswipe. Shut up, douche. I mean, everyone in the chat loves Gavin Newsom, of course. But it is interesting how he's desperately trying to paint Trump as this tyrant. This, of course, comes after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Everyone is saying, let's tamp down the rhetoric. Let's tamp down the rhetoric that, this like Civil War type rhetoric, us against them type rhetoric, this violent rhetoric against Republicans, that Republicans are fascists, they're dictators, they're the Gestapo, they're whatever, right? Like all of this language is painting Republicans as dangerous and violent, when in reality, we know that it's the left. And Gavin Newsom is no different, right? He is sitting here saying President Trump is a wartime president when no new wars have been started under President Trump, and a war is likely coming to an end under President Trump, something that Joe Biden couldn't get across the finish line when he was in office. So again, it's interesting to see how he's twisting these words. He's making President Trump out to be his personal victim, his personal target. He's very much, and again, Gavin Newsom isn't going to run against President Trump. If Gavin Newsom does run in 2028, which I think he is setting himself up for, he's running against J.D. Vance. So this is all part of his plan to demonize the Trump administration, because this is going to, in his mind, bode well amongst people who are going to support him. But Jasmine Crockett as well, also getting in on this rhetoric, saying that President Trump is raising hell. This is what she posted on X, saying raising hell at home and then pretending to be the president of peace is diabolical. What President Trump is doing abroad is something that, like I said, Biden and Democrats couldn't do. They didn't do it. So, of course, they have to make digs at him in other ways because they have to diminish his accomplishments. I mean, like I said earlier, we saw Biden and Harris and Bill Clinton actually give him the credit for doing this, which they should have. But then you see these younger, more maybe progressive members of the Democrat Party really, participating in this rallying cry that Trump is evil, Trump is bad. Like they can't give him the accolades that he deserves for this. They can't give him an inch, right? So raising hell at home, like, what are you talking about? Like, these Democrats are just making it up in their heads. Like, raising hell. President Trump is deploying troops not only to blue cities, because Gavin Newsom said, he's waging war on blue cities. He doesn't believe in the United States of America. He only believes in, launching war and waging war on blue cities and blue states and blue governors and blue mayors and whatever, which is not true. President Trump is sending troops to Memphis. He is talking about sending troops to New Orleans. These are red states, and they are cities in red states that are in need of the National Guard and other troops to clean them up. And these mayors and governors are welcoming it because this isn't a divided thing. This is supposed to be making America safe again. It doesn't matter who you voted for. I mean, President Trump is the president for everyone, much to the dismay of Democrats and liberals and progressives and the socialists, right? Like they hate that President Trump is their president. But President Trump knows that there are Republicans and Democrats living in every city and they need help. Where there is crime, he is going to send help. So to say that he is raising hell is just stupid. But we wouldn't expect anything less from Miss Jasmine Crockett. So I want to take a quick break to tell you about Genucel. Genucel is a wonderful product. They have multiple products, I should say. And, people look at your face. They look at your jawline. They look at your neck. And all of these things tell your age. So the Genucel Skincare Neckline Lift has dual peptide and MDL technology. It is Genucel's most advanced technology ever, and it can not only help tighten saggy skin around the neck and chin, but it also help plump the lipophilic layers of your skin to help contour and define the neckline within minutes. Using peptides and metolactones together for the first time, it works amazingly quick to see results, and you can see the results getting better every single day. With Genucel's MDL technology, Genucel's brand new neckline lift specifically targets that delicate skin on the neck area, and you will see tight, healthy, younger looking skin. You will see your mirror smile back at you, or 100% of your money back, no questions asked, with their 120-day money-back guarantee. Order now and get immediate results in just minutes with your Neckline Lift Essential Packet. And right now, save over 70% off during this limited time introductory offer. No double chin, no turkey neck, no sagging neckline, because no one needs to know your age. Genucel.com/scroll. Genucel.com/scroll. Order now and get free priority shipping. Just go to Genucel.com/scroll. Genucel.com/scroll. I also want to tell you about Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it is time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. And here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was tired of the jaw-dropping bills from my old provider, random fees, surprise overages, long-term contracts. Felt like I couldn't escape, right? Switching to Mint Mobile was a game changer. It is easy. I use it, and you should too. Plans start at just $15 a month and include high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, which I need because I'm on my phone all the time, and it is all on the nation's largest 5G network. I kept my phone, I kept my number, and all of my contacts. The setup was super easy, and the service is just as reliable as my old provider. Just now, I'm saving hundreds a year. No more bill shock, just great coverage and peace of mind. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/scroll. Mintmobile.com/scroll. Upfront payment of $45 is required. Limited time new customer offer for just 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on the unlimited plan. Taxes and fees are extra. See mintmobile.com for details. All right, well, Letitia James, the embattled Attorney General of New York, of course, she's in the middle of this whole mortgage fraud situation, and I hope she gets held accountable. But she was speaking at, get this, an event for New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani, and she was met with chants. I love you, we love you, we love you, Letitia James. Watch this.
I love you. I love you.
We love it. We love it. We love it. We love it. We love it.
This is odd. This strikes as odd to me, like she's a damn celebrity. You don't see that. This is not normal. This isn't a normal response to an attorney general. Like, can you think of another attorney general from another state that would receive this kind of woo?
Everybody in there got $10 to do that.
Tish in the house. Tish in the house. We love Tish. Obviously, this is because she's made President Trump her target. But it's just so odd to see this. I mean, the only attorney general I can think of that I really like is Winsome Sears in Virginia. She's very, very cool. She's the attorney general, right? Am I making that up? Or she's the...
She running for governor, right?
She is, but she was the attorney general. Am I right? Oh, no, lieutenant governor. So that's not... I can't even think of an attorney general from a state. The only attorney general that I know was former attorney general Pam Bondi in Florida. I don't know. Like, I can't think of one. Can you?
No, I'm blanking. But I'm just trying to think. Everybody in that arena probably got $15 to chant for 30 seconds.
Like, who's the attorney general? Attorney General, California. Rob Bonta. if you had a gun to my head and said, name a attorney general, couldn't do it.
Rob
Bonta?
Let's go, Rob. Let's go, Rob.
Again, I don't know. Who's the attorney general of Florida? Is it the guy that I can't pronounce his last name? Yeah, James Othmeyer. Yeah. He was the one that announced Alligator Alcatraz. I remember that. But this just goes to show I am paying attention in the news, obviously. I don't know who the attorney generals are for these certain states, and I'm certainly not going to an event and I'm not saying, woo, we love you, we love you. It is because Letitia James made President Trump her little like pet project. It was her goal and mission to get Trump, and now she's getting a taste of her own medicine, which we love to see. I saw someone in the chat say she needs to go to jail, and we shall see. Did you see the article today that her niece, who's old, like she's old enough to live on her own, but her adult niece is living at the house that is at the center of this whole mortgage fraud type situation, because Letitia James put her dad as her husband on the documents. There were issues with the names on the documents, and now her adult niece is living there. It's just so odd. It's just very odd. So yes, to your point in the chat, if there's enough evidence on her for doing this, you need to be held accountable. You need to go to jail. But here is Letitia James speaking at the Mamdani rally. Listen to this.
I appreciate you, and I've got your back.
She's like, please have mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you more. So good evening, everyone. It is so good to be here with all of you, standing with my very good friend, my little brother, and one of the boldest voices in the history of New York politics, Zoran Mamdani. We are here tonight because we are ready to turn the page on the cynical, broken politics of the past.
Right out of the Kamala Page book.
We are ready to build a city
and Gwen Walls
that works for the people who actually make it run. Working people, the teachers, the nurses, the drivers, the home health aides, the firefighters, the police, not just for those at the top, but for working people who...
Yeah, so everyone, again, they love her, she loves them back. And, she also said in this speech, don't look to the past, look to the future. And I think when she was saying these words, it was because she doesn't want people to look into her past anymore. She wants to look forward. She wants everyone to be very forward thinking, to not look into her past. Don't dig into mine.
She's talking about the potential jury men and women that are in the, please don't look in the past, look forward.
Yes, she is literally speaking to a room of potential jurors, which would
Doesn't
be
she
totally
want to defund
biased.
the police? Thanking the police?
Yeah.
Doesn't she want to defund them?
Yeah, of course. And again, Zoran Mamdani wants to defund them as well and get rid of them. He wants to replace them with social workers. So the whole thing is just so odd. It's like they're running for mayor and attorney general of Gotham City. That's what this feels like. It's just going to be lawless chaos, no cops. Don't look at my, the skeletons in my closet. Just, look over here, not over here. That's Tish James. So Guy sent me these next stories about buy now, pay later type apps. Do you guys use these at all? Like Afterpay or any of these? Like, I don't either. Affirm. Whenever I'm checking out, if I'm doing online shopping, I'll see them come up at the bottom. Like, you could pay for this in installments of, $33.52 or whatever over the next 4 months. And I don't do that. But apparently this is becoming very, very popular among Americans. And it's estimated that half of Americans have used this buy now, pay later at least once. And this is really speaking to that instant gratification that I think a lot of younger people want. It's kind of like when people talk about retail therapy, it's like, I want something and I want it now and I can have it now. Like, even if I don't have the money, I can have it now. because I can pay for it in these installments. And of course, with interest rates and all this stuff, like it's really such a scam. But this has totally exploded. It's Affirm, it's Afterpay, it's Sezzle, it's Zip, and Klarna. And apparently a lot of, I want to read you a snippet from this New York Times article. And the article is called, "They've Got to Live a Life of Luxury. Then Came the Fine Print." And this is really targeting influencers who need to keep up this persona and this like fake lifestyle that they're, keeping up with the Joneses. They're rich and famous. They're very cool. They have the latest bag to peddle on to their followers. They need the latest makeup. They need this. They need items for their videos to sell to other people, right? This is like the vicious cycle of influencer marketing on social media. And so here's a snippet from this article. "These days, BNPL, buy now, pay later, options exist for everything from refrigerators to lipsticks to monster trucks to Labubus. Nearly 2/3 of Coachella concert goers this year, used it to afford their tickets. You can Afterpay a vacation, flights, cruises, Airbnbs, the whole shebang. You can Klarna a burrito. And despite the staggering amounts of capital that BNPL companies extend to novice consumers, they operate without much oversight, enjoying a regulatory Wild West as policymakers scratch their heads over how to keep up." And it's very, when I see people my age and they're on a vacation constantly, they just bought a house and then they're on vacation, or they just paid for a wedding and then they're on their honeymoon and they're in Europe and they go to Coachella and they go to all these concerts. I mean, I'm sitting here and I do well for myself. I'm certainly apartment poor. I live paycheck to paycheck, but I'm doing better than I would say most people my age. And I don't know how all these people are doing it. I'm like, how are you buying a house? How are you saving this much money? How are you going on all these vacations? How are you buying all these new bags? How are you doing this? And I think a lot of people get help from their parents, but they also are using these buy now, pay later things on their trips. Maybe they're racking up a lot of credit card debt. Like, if you're smart, you're not spending money on these kinds of things. So not everything that influencers do should be copied. And I think that's the lesson in all of this. Like, just because influencers or other people that you follow on social media are doing something doesn't mean that it's normal. It doesn't mean that they have the money to be doing these things. It's all a facade. And that's the problem with influencer marketing, not so much for the influencers, that's their problem, but for the people who have less money and they're being influenced by them and they're trying to keep up with the influencers. It's all I think it's interesting. And I think it's young people are doing this. I don't think that older generations are doing this. Not that they're immune to credit card debt or getting into financial trouble, but I don't think that an older person is putting a burrito on Klarna.
Oh, absolutely not. The important thing to know is some of this this buy now, pay later stuff, there's no interest on these charges. They'll just charge them up, and then they collect on them. Mm-hmm. And so it's like it's another kind of bait and trap for Gen Zers and younger.
Yeah, it's crazy. And if you're an influencer and you're bringing in so much money, I mean, I think if you are one of the top tier influencers and you're really, really rich, you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. Like, you can maybe afford to make more risky financial decisions. But if you are not one of those top tier influencers, maybe you have, 100,000, 300,000 followers or whatever, you're not making that much money. You're not making like Alex Earl money. So, maybe they're getting some free stuff from people who want to work with them and get their endorsement. But, if you're being influenced by them and you don't have as much money, you could get into a lot of dangerous territory.
The other scary thing, Hayley, is that this isn't like, oh, I want this new bag, so I'm going to pay 4 payments like a traditional credit card or whatever.
Right.
Like, they're using this for everyday life. Like you said, I want a pizza, 4 payments. I want to take this Uber ride, 4 payments.
Right. And
I want to rent this scooter, 4 payments.
Right. And if you can't afford a burrito, don't buy it. You have to, first of all, you are in trouble. You are in financial trouble. You should not be buying anything if you can't afford a burrito. You can't put a burrito on your credit card or on
4 payments you can, 4 payments.
And to do Afterpay for a burrito, like, how much is a burrito at Chipotle now?
I don't know, $13,
$12, something like that. Depends on if you get double meat and whatever. But
4 payments at $4.50.
Right. Like, this is wild. If I can't afford a $12 burrito, I'm not eating in general. I'm going to go home and I'm going to drink water or something and hope that I don't, get too hungry. I don't know. But yeah, if you don't have the money in your checking account, like, why are you buying frivolous items? Why are you buying makeup or clothing or anything like that? It's just wild to me. Also wild is Alec Baldwin, who's back in the news. And, he was in a car accident with his brother, Steven. They were driving in East Hampton and I just want to go through this, this screen cap. This is the New York Post said Alec Baldwin crashes Range Rover into tree in the Hamptons. But if you could scroll, he looks so disheveled and Steven looks even worse, right? Like, Steven looks way worse. And this is what I wanted to point out. Why is he wearing jorts over his joggers or his windbreaker pants?
Because he's a baller.
This is the craziest outfit I've ever seen in my life. If I was in a car accident and I was wearing jorts over my joggers, I would say, you know what? I'm going to stay in the car. Especially if you're in East Hampton and there's going to be paparazzi following you or whatever. I'm staying in the damn car. I'm not getting out.
Where'd he come from? The woods? Like, are there woods up that way? I mean, is there deer?
There are woods. There are woods. There are deer. But would you wear jorts to go hunting?
No.
I don't think you would. I think he thinks that this is like a look. It's very odd.
Tactical jorts.
It's very odd. These are his tactical jorts. And then, go back to the other photo of him. So I'm zooming in. It's the sticker that's on his jacket says One Bad Movie. So I looked it up. I'm like, is this a brand or something? It's his podcast. I didn't know that Stephen Baldwin had a podcast, but now I do. So there's, again, you know what they say? There's no bad press. There's no such thing.
I don't think anybody knew Stephen Baldwin had a podcast.
I know. I had no idea. So I guess this is a tactic. If you want people to know about your podcast, you could just you can wear the merch and then get into an accident. So if you ever see me on the road and I'm wearing my nightly scroll hat, get out of the way. Skirt! I'm going to try to get some attention on this show. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, he does look... Also, when you're getting dressed, is he just drunk or on drugs that he would put on pants and then that's not enough? He has to put on jorts on top? I mean, what possesses you to put on 2 pairs of pants at once? Unless it's cold out and you're trying to layer leggings or long johns under ski stuff. I've never layered pants.
Maybe he wasn't quite sober and didn't realize he had pants on and thought he was just going to put on the jorts.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe he forgot that he had pants on and he just put the jorts on top. And then I was thinking, I'm like, did he soil his pants and he was trying to cover up a stain or something? But if that was the case, then you would just ditch the pants and put the jorts on. Anyway, I will say, I think that there was maybe some... And I have no idea. So for legal reasons, I have no idea. But you can't be in your right mind if you're wearing that outfit and then you're, wrapping your car around a tree. So Alec Baldwin provided some more context. This is the video that he put out on social media. Watch this.
Number of names. But this morning I was in this car accident. Guy cut me off in a truck. Big garbage truck. A garbage truck the size of a whale. I've never seen a garbage truck. It must have been something commercial for taking away material from construction or something. It was the biggest garbage truck I've ever seen. Anyway, I won't go into the details now and bore you, but to avoid hitting him, I hit a tree. I hit a big fat tree and crushed my car, my wife's car. I crushed my wife's car. I feel bad about that, but it's all fine, and I'm fine, and my brother's fine. And my wife's car is pretty smashed up. Big tree, big fat tree. And I'm still so proud of my wife. Hilaria, I love you more than anything, and I'm very proud of you. Okay, I'm fine, other than, bye.
What a weird video. He's like, this was the biggest garbage truck I've ever seen in my life, bigger than a whale. He's never seen a garbage truck this big. Like, isn't this a standard size?
That's what me and Justin were contemplating on whether
I've never
or not
seen like a big one or a small one. It's just garbage truck.
It's just I think they're pretty ubiquitous.
Standard
like the old
size. That's
municipal
what I thought.
Garbage truck.
So he's like, well, this has got to be like a bigger garbage truck. Of course, because when Alec Baldwin is in the wrong, according to him, he is not in the wrong. This is one of these people that's just like above the law. He can kill people on set and it's fine. He literally gets away with murder. It's just, this is like the kind of person that he is. And a lot of these celebrities feel that way, I think. Whether you're Letitia James or you are Alec Baldwin, if you are above the law, they believe that. They believe that and they act like it. And I will say, I saw Alec Baldwin in East Hampton once on Sunday. I was in church and Alec Baldwin came to church and he looked very disheveled. So I think this is just his look. Maybe he gets drunk on Saturday night and he goes to church to make himself feel better. I don't know. But I did see him in East Hampton looking very hungover once. So this kind of tracks. This is what he does. I thought was interesting too in that whole clip was how he was placating to his wife. And have you seen their interactions in public? They're bizarre. Weird. They're so bizarre. Yeah, they're very unlikable people. And she's unlikable with the fake accent and the fake story. And, she was just on Dancing with the Stars and she got voted off because she's not good. From what I've seen, I don't watch Dancing with the Stars, but from the clips that I've seen on TikTok, she is not good. And other people are better. So this is how this works. You get voted off the show when you're not the best. And she said that she was voted off because of bullying. She was bullied off the show. That's not how this works. Again, so this mentality, this I'm above the law and this like self-righteous mentality, it's deep in the Baldwin family. I'll just say that. But Newsmax obtained exclusive dash cam footage of this accident. So let's watch this so we can maybe put this story together.
So we've just obtained exclusive dash cam video showing the moment actor Alec Baldwin crashed his SUV on the east end of New York's Long Island. The video is from the front-facing camera on a commercial truck. You're seeing the truck here making what's believed to be a legal right turn, and then it slows down.
Seconds later, Baldwin's SUV is seen hitting a mailbox and a tree off to the right side of the truck. The actor, an outspoken Trump hater, claimed on social media that he was driving his wife's Range Rover with his brother Stephen Baldwin in the passenger seat. He said he was trying to avoid hitting this truck, so he veered off the road into the tree. Does not appear, though.
Okay. Am I crazy? So first of all, I will say the truck seemed to be veering off the road. But if you are behind that truck, no big deal. You slow down and you avoid this altogether.
And it certainly looked like the garbage truck made an unimpeded right turn.
Right. The truck makes a right turn. And then for whatever reason, the truck seemed to be veering off to the right. But if Alec Baldwin was driving behind that truck and past the truck on the right, he is in the wrong.
100%. It wasn't even a 2-lane road, was it?
No, it's a 1-lane road. So maybe he was trying to pass the garbage truck on the right, which would be crazy because there were trees on the right, hence the situation that they got in.
And a huge mailbox.
Just crazy. What do people in the chat think? Trash trucks veer to the right to get the trash. Duh. But I didn't see any trash there. I don't know. I think he was trying to pass. The other thing, too,
are the huge brake lights that are on a garbage truck.
I think he was trying
that
to
illuminate
pass.
Nice and red,
Yeah, I think he was trying to illegally pass on the right, and he got into this situation, and of course, he can do no wrong. So anyway, let's get into scrolling time. Time is brought to you by AI, completely. All of these videos are AI, and you know how I feel about AI. I don't like AI, but when it's funny, and these are hilarious. And I will say, with AI, nobody will ever rest in peace ever again. Nobody will rest in peace ever again. With that said, let's roll the first one.
Gates ready, and it's
so
open.
Here's
Stephen Hawking is out on big dip.
Here's Stephen Hawking riding a bull.
Little twist. He's holding steady, folks. 6, 7. There it is. 8 seconds on the.
And he's holding on. I mean, that was 8 seconds. Stephen Hawking, incredible, holding on to the bull, holding on there. This, again, to my point, nobody's going to rest in peace. Certainly not Stephen Hawking. I have a lot of Stephen Hawking videos wheelchair. Here's Stephen Hawking wrestling Harambe.
No way! Harambe's got Hawking on the roof! Oh my God! Right off the cell! Hawking crashed through the table! The man's broken in half! Somebody get some help out here!
I never thought I'd see it. I never thought I'd see Harambe, the gorilla from the Cincinnati Zoo that, some kid got into the enclosure, and then, of course, they had to kill the gorilla who was doing nothing wrong. But Harambe, may he rest in peace. Wrestling Stephen Hawking, may he rest in peace. Who would have thought?
Did you know that wheelchair? It didn't even get scratched. That's a wheelchair.
Yeah, it was a hefty wheelchair. Someone in the chat said he knows his physics. Maybe that's why he held on to the bull for so long.
I guess. If the wheelchair is strapped to the bull and then he's strapped to the wheelchair, is that cheating in professional bull riding?
I think so. Here is Stephen Hawking excelling in every single sport. Watch this. He's on the, what do you call this? He's on the bars.
The high bar.
The high bar.
Smooth down the runway.
Of course,
in,
now he's pole vaulting.
Over the top, clears it. The bar stays.
He sticks the landing.
Hawking fields it clean.
Here he is getting a touchdown.
He's got a wall in front. Stephen Hawking at the top. Wins perfectly still. He goes. Rolling.
And
smooth out of the gate. Great speed. Launch. Huge off the table. Here comes Hawking. Building velocity down the drop. Straight into the transition. He's off the lip.
Landing on his head. On the, what is that called? Why can I not think of all of this?
That's the half pipe.
The half pipe, yeah, skateboarding. Yes, people in the chat, yes, this is AI. It is Sora AI. This is ChatGPT. This is OpenAI. This is all AI. This was the disclaimer that I put at the start of scrolling time. All of these videos are AI. Certainly, Stephen Hawking is not part of the Blue Angels. Watch this. This one made me crack up.
This is what curiosity and mathematics can do when you add a jet engine.
That's Professor Stephen Hawking flying in formation with the Blue Angels.
Flying in formation with the Blue Angels. Someone in the chat said, I had no idea he was so athletic. Yes.
Again, that
Tony
chair,
Hawking,
there's not a scratch on that chair. It ate it in the half pipe, and now it's going Mach 7 with the Blue Angels. There's not a scratch on that chair.
And he really wasn't flying in formation with the Blue Angels. He was kind of going rogue on his own, but still very impressive nonetheless.
He was taking point.
Here's Harriet Tubman hitting a home run.
2 balls, 1 strike. The pitch, crack driven, left field, way back. Get out of here, it's gone. Grand slam. Harriet Tubman just walked off the World Series.
It's incredible.
We got to play this back a second here.
What can't she do?
Look where she's standing in the batter's box. She's running the catcher. Come on, Harriet. Get no. Yeah, I know it. Get on the right side.
Crack driven, left field, way back. Get out of here, it's gone. Grand slam. Harriet Tubman just walked off the World Series.
I love how she's not wearing a uniform. It's like she did like a celeb shot. Like they were just like called her out to do her own thing. I love it. What's this next one? Here's Jesus walking on water. In a swim meet.
And they're off. Wait! He's not diving. He's walking on top of the water. That's exactly what it looks like, Jason.
Amen to that. And of course, he cleared the competition, as you would expect. Here's Rosa Parks. What is this, Monday Night Raw? Rosa Parks, who's she fighting? A bus?
Listen to this ovation. Civil rights icon Rosa Parks steps onto Monday Night Raw. And across the ring, a walking, talking city bus ready to keep her in the...
I love how it's a person, like a wrestler wearing a bus costume. It's not an actual bus. But yeah. Again, never thought I'd see it.
It's comical because it looks so real. Like that's what's goofy about it.
It does look pretty real.
100%.
It really does. And the comment section of all these videos is, I'm totally getting scammed when I'm older. You show Rosa Parks beating up this bus to someone's grandma, she's gonna believe it.
Well, if I pass away and Justin makes an AI video of me going 3 rounds against Stephen Hawking and I don't win, I'm gonna haunt you over here.
Here is George Washington wrestling Abraham Lincoln. the founding fighters.
Washington has arrived. The crowd is on its
And
feet
Washington
for the
is
founding
ripped, by the
fighter.
way.
You can feel the respect.
The great emancipator.
Abraham Lincoln, he's done it. Lincoln is here live. I can't believe this. The arena is erupting. Look at Washington. He can't believe it. This crowd is losing their minds. Abraham Lincoln is walking in the ring. This is unreal.
Here we go.
This is unreal. History itself standing in that ring.
Washington and Lincoln face to face for the first time.
Now all their clothes are off.
The father of a nation on his shoulders.
Oh.
Revolution slam! The revolution Washington just shook the nation. Listen to this play.
I love how his outfit changes 3 times in the same video.
They called that the Revolutionary Slam.
Listen to this place. What a night. The first president just made WWE history. Listen to this place.
I love, like, the AI. First of all, their faces are changing multiple times throughout the video. Their clothes are off, clothes come back on. Clothes are off, clothes come back on. They're doing multiple outfit changes in this one fight. Here's MLK and JFK ding-dong ditching.
Go on, hit it. All right, here we go. Shh, listen, hear it? Let's move. Go, go. We're clear.
I think that's funny. I would imagine
that was a
that
good one. Kennedy looked good too right there.
They look great.
Good black suit.
They look great. They look very handsome. And like I said, nobody is safe. Nobody is resting in peace anymore. But here is, and this is another thing, another sentence that I would just never imagine that would come out of my mouth. Here is Martin Luther King Jr. on Kill Tony.
JFK, Abraham Lincoln, and myself walk into a bar. We get a few shots.
Hey, it's funny.
It's funny because Martin Luther King said it.
It's funny. It is funny. I will say, you know, when AI is good, it is good. When AI is funny, it is funny. What I'm more concerned about, not to like end on a, you know, a sour note, but to think of, like, this is just the beginning, right? AI is going to hone its skills. They're going to get more realistic. They're not going to mess up the hands. They're not going to look like, a lot of these look pretty good. They look like footage from like a few years ago or like the 90s, right? Like they look a little grainy, but we're going to get to a point where AI is indistinguishable from real life. That's going to be a very scary place for not only news, but politics, because you'll see a video of a candidate saying, whatever, something crazy, it's going to be AI, not real. People are going to make that first impression, like that assumption, and it's going to stick. Like people are going to believe their eyes. They're not going to do their own research to make sure if it is AI or not. And what's real is real and what's fake is fake. Like all of the lines are going to be blurred and no one's going to know anything. And that's a very, very scary place to be in.
Oh, yeah. Don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see.
Right.
That's an old saying, but that's going to be the new future.
True. It's going to be true. So anyway, thank you for scrolling along with me. I had so much fun. Make sure that you watch rumble.com/Hayley to watch the show in full. Of course, you can follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify to listen later on. I know a lot of people listen. And of course, you can follow me at Hayley Caronia on most social media platforms, on Instagram, TikTok, X, Truth Social. I think I'm going to make a video tonight on this Alec Baldwin. I need to dive into this jorts outfit, I think, a little deeper. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you right back here tomorrow.